This video gives an overview of the later Middle Ages in England, focusing on Middle English, and especially the 14th century, when Geoffrey Chaucer wrote. Other authors from this time are still read too: Julian of Norwich, William Langland, and many anonymous writers. From roughly 1100 to 1500, the main language of England was Middle English. This language grew from Old English, which is the language of Beowulf. In 1066, the Norman conquest occurred, the last major successful invasion of England. Duke William of Normandy, aka William the Bastard, shown here, claimed the throne of England after the death of England's King Edward. King Harold, however, had already been crowned in England and probably thought possession was 9/10 of the law. Unfortunately, the other 10th apparently won in this case, as William reportedly slew Harold with an arrow through the eye. Ouch. And became King William I of England. Today, Normandy is part of northern France. Duke and then King William spoke a dialect of French, as did all the men he installed to replace the men in the English aristocracy and most of the church leaders in England. Their dialect became known as Anglo-Norman, but over decades and then centuries, they learned English while many English people learned French. Voila, Middle English. After the conquest, England had a hierarchy of languages. Latin remained the language of the Roman Catholic Church, which was the religion of England. Remember, this is before the Protestant Reformation in the early modern era. The Church of England, Dutch Reform, Baptists, and other Christian sects have not begun. Judaism and Islam are not well known in England. So Latin has the most prestige, even in England, where few people speak, write, or read it. Below that, Anglo-Norman, or French, has more speakers, and it's the language of political power. English is the language most people speak, but it's not associated with power for much of the period, though it continues to be used for some writing. Celtic languages, such as Cornish and Welsh, have very little prestige and are not used in most of England. You've probably heard the term feudalism. It's a blanket term that often brings landholding together with a political and social system. I prefer not to use it for England because the term has long been controversial and is simultaneously associated with too rigid a model and yet defined differently by different people. I use manorialism for a system of landholding in which a lord lived in a manor on an estate worked largely by peasants. Peasants could be free or serfs. Serfs worked the land in exchange for protection by the lord and his knights. They had to give the lord a set amount of agricultural products, whether grain, meat, or vegetables. After that, what they grew, they could keep. That meant, in bad years, serfs could literally starve. They had legal rights, but generally had to pay fees to leave the lord's service and even to marry. They were, however, not slaves. They had rights and could not be sold. Serfs were granted their freedom if they reached a town and lived there for a year and a day. If the lords found them later, they might prove by witnesses, church records, or both how long they had lived in the town. Free peasants could own or rent land or work someone else's land for wages. Lords, on the other hand, generally owed other lords military service as vassals. They took a personal oath and made a personal bond, unlike serfs who might never meet their lord in person. The higher-ranking lord would give his vassal one or more of land, called a fief, horse, armor, and weapons. The lower-ranking lord, in return, would give military service. He would fight to protect the lord's estate, including the peasants on it. He would also fight in wars of aggression. The whole matter could be very complicated. Men could be vassals of more than one lord, which meant trouble if they were pledged to fighting for lords on opposite sides, but we won't get into that. King William was King of England, but a vassal of the King of France for his Duchy of Normandy. Before 1204, the kings of England held land in Normandy. Between 1204 and 1214, King John of England lost Normandy, so England's French possessions diminished to holdings in Gascony alone, which had been acquired by King Henry II's marriage to Eleanor of Aquitaine. 1337 to 1453 saw off and on war with France overland, mostly over whether England would retain any French land. The English also feared the French would invade England. It's called the 100 Years' War, even though it's obviously not 100 years. In the end, England would lose all its French possessions. Some years saw no fighting. Others saw intense fighting. In 1359 to 60, Chaucer was serving as a yeoman, Prince Lionel's retinue in France, as part of this war. He was captured by the French, but ransomed back by King Edward III, along with many others. He wasn't famous yet. This was also the time of the Black Death. Yersinia pestis can manifest in 3 ways in people: bubonic, pneumonic, and septicemic. All 3 appeared in England around 1348 to 50, the first of many rounds of the plague. It killed 1/3 to half the population. It kept coming back until 1666. Some believe the Great Fire of London eradicated it for this era. Not having an illustration for this slide is a choice. If you want to find images, do an online search. You'll find plenty. Government went on despite the death toll. In 1362, the statutes of pleading required all lawsuits to be conducted in English. They could still be recorded in French or Latin. Before that, there were no guarantees that lawsuits were in English. You could be in a case conducted completely in French without knowing French. English is becoming a language of power again, as very few people, English people, have French as a first language, and even the number with French as a second language may be in decline. The 1381 rebellion, rising, or peasants' revolt happened when commoners, including not only what we would now call peasants, but also artisans and at least one English priest, and others we'd call middle class, banded together against the aristocracy and poll taxes. Poll here means head. The sense poll tax or voting tax is later. Notable deaths in England included more than 40 Flemings, Simon Sudbury, who was the Lord Chancellor, Robert Hales, who was the Lord High Treasurer, and many, many others. John of Gaunt, Chaucer's patron and a member of the royal family, was nearly killed by rebels. His luxurious Savoy palace was burned by rebels too. The rebellion wasn't confined to London, but spread to several other areas. It lasted less than a month, and hundreds were executed afterwards. Lasting effects are unclear. Demands included the end of serfdom, but that was already on its last legs for other reasons, including but not limited to the Black Death. In 1399, Henry IV made his first speech as king in English. After almost 340 years of kings who chose French for their speeches, the change signaled a new era for English. 1400 saw the death of Chaucer, probably around the age of 55 to 60. It's conveniently a round-numbered year, making it easy to remember the end of his literary production and the start of the Great Vowel Shift. Much happens in the 15th century, but this video is already long enough. I will close by noting that in 1476, William Caxton introduces the movable type printing press to England. That leads to a great increase in the production of pamphlets and books, accompanied by an increase in literacy. The printing press also promotes standardization in the English language. We consider 1500 the end of Middle English and the start of early modern English. Thank you for watching. Here are my works cited, most of which can give you more information about what I've merely sketched here. Several of them also have good references or bibliographies themselves. You're still here? Good for you. Thanks again for watching.